where shall we begin? This video is going to be about bucket lists and practical plans and turning those big, audacious goals into actionable steps and taking those steps because, a dream without a plan is just a goal without a dream. A goal without a plan is just a dream. My name is Nneka Kelly. I am a Trini-born sage and oracle. And I talk about, well, here I'll be definitely talking about crafting a life that you love. And let's start with today. I've had this channel for quite some time now. I've been in and out. I'm going to talk a little bit about my history at some later date, but today we are going to focus on bringing those big, huge, audacious goals into bite-sized chunks so that you can execute on them. The reason why I'm doing that is because I am working on a big, audacious goal myself. And I have a goal to take a year off in 2017 and go on a sabbatical. And I'd like to probably spend 3 to 6 months in Mexico. I'd like to do some cruising of the Caribbean islands. And I'd like to visit a few European countries. Italy for sure. Probably want to spend a month to 3 months in Italy. I'm basically going to be doing some soul travel. So a month to 3 months in Italy. I want to do Greece again, probably for maybe a month. I might touch Portugal, but it's not high on my list. Italy is probably the highest, so 3 months for sure in Italy. I understand that there's the whole Schengen thing. I'm working that out. But anyway, this I'm talking to you, but really I'm being kind of selfish because I love to plan and I do have this huge goal and it's going to require a lot of moving parts to come into place to get together. So let me start first by saying a few credentials that might be helpful to you. I'm in IT. I've been a systems analyst and a project manager slash scrum master for 25 years. And I'm also an avid planner, as you can tell from all those planners back there. I use the Happy Planner planning system. I've been using it since 2019. Was 2019 my first year? Yeah, 2019 was my first year. So this grew. We're going into year number 7. So we're 19, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're going into year number 7 using the Happy Planner system. It is the only planner that I've ever kept up with, paper planning wise. I mean, like I use it every year for most weeks, like I would say 48 out of the 52 weeks of the year. It's filled in all of those pages. And so every year, especially around this time, for me, it starts around my birthday in October. I start planning. They do their fall release. I choose my planners. Um, and it's a huge deal. So this goal of mine to go travel, slow travel for a year in 2017. Why did I even pick 2017? Like, how do you have a huge goal. How do you even pick a date to go with it? So some folks throw a dart and they just, like put a stick in the ground and that's the date. That's helpful. That is very useful because you know, you don't know it's too big to figure out, right? Sometimes, some things that you need to do to get to be able to do the thing that you want to do. So for me, I am the primary caregiver for my parents. So that's one huge thing that I'm going to need to figure out. Another thing is having the funds to take the year off. That would be uh, saving those funds to spend for that year. And then possibly creating an income stream so that while I'm out there for that year, I could be making income. This is part of that plan. So, so the reason why I chose that date is because I think that it's going to cost me about $3,000 a month to do that travel. I know some folks are like, that is way too low. I know I was like, it's way too low at the beginning too. But I have a coach. I've been working with someone who has helped me to figure out that there are some places where I can be for a month for $1,500 for the month. That's including lodging and food, and touring around. I've been watching a lot of Mexico City videos because I want to spend 3 to 6 months in Mexico, and there are a lot of places in Mexico where I could be for $1,500 a month. I mean, I don't know that I want to go that low, so I doubled it for myself because I'm kind of bougie. Um, and so some places might be like 2,000, some places might be 4,000, but I just figure the average will be about 3,000. Plus, I've been watching from Poverty to Paradise, her page, her YouTube channel, and she talks about cruising for $2,000 a month. And I think a few of those months, maybe 1 to 3 months, I'll be cruising around the Caribbean because one of my bucket lists. So one of my bucket list items is to visit every Caribbean island. This is going to be all over the place. I have no plan. I have no outline. I'm just chatting. So, so one of my bucket list items is to visit every Caribbean island. The reason for that is because I'm originally from Trinidad, as the Trini-born sage and oracle, and I I feel like I should know where I come from. Not just the island of Trinidad, which quite frankly I need to spend some more time there. I've never been on the island of Tobago as an adult. I went as a child, so that's definitely gonna be on my list. Probably not to cruise to, but I need like another month there. And then there are other islands that I want to visit, St. Lucia, St. Kitts. I wrote down the whole list here. I mean, like all of them, really. Barbados, Curacao, the ABC, Curacao is part of the ABC Islands. Cruises can hit islands, and because some of them are very, very, very tiny, I could probably get through them in the day and then return to them if I want to spend more time, right? I did that in Europe when I cruised. So I've been to a few European countries, seen them, drove into it. We rented cars and drove in. We didn't do the tourist thing. And so I have like some places that I want to return to. And so I want to at least put my foot on every Caribbean, well, most Caribbean islands, right? Um, I think I've excluded two because I'm just like, I don't really want to at all. So that's part of the bucket list thing is part of that trip will be a cruise, part will be the Mexico stay, part will be um Europe. I know Europe has the 3 months in Schengen, so I'll probably need to do like 3 months in like Italy and Greece. I think I'm gonna spend a lot of time in Italy. I might spend like the full 3 months in Italy. And then I'll probably need to hop over to Ireland and go to Morocco and then come back over to the US and I'll do Mexico after I do that. That's my thinking right now anyway. But so the one bucket list goal is to do um the Caribbean islands. And then I do want to slow travel Italy for sure. I have this other goal or this other desire to spend 3 months in Greece writing. Um, I don't know if that's going to be part of this trip, but that's also on my list of things that I'd like to do. So this huge thing that I'm going to undertake in a far period of time, like I've got um 2 years and 3 months or so to go to it. So it's not close. It's gonna take some sticking with it the whole time to get there. And so I love to plan. And so I invite you to come along with me. So what am I doing to take this bucket list goal and make it into a practical plan? The first thing I did was set a date. I Like I said, some people stake it and they just pick a date and they say, here we go. Some people like myself are like, you work backwards. You're like, what will I need in order to do this? And how long will those things take? And then you set the date from there. Um, when you're setting dates for big audacious goals that you haven't started at all, so there's some things that you might have in transit and going, right? And some things that you haven't started at all, give yourself time, you know, give yourself time. There's no rush. I mean, it's different schools of thought. You're gonna die. I or you're gonna learn this about me. I have this thing about death. I'm very flippant about it. But I think that everyone's gonna die from something at some point, right? But I do enjoy ease and I love flow and I do not like to be rushed. I don't think that things are worth it when they're rushed. I like things to go slowly. So for me, I could have opted to do this in June of next year, but then everything would be rushed and I'll be leaving my job and my parents and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, oh. But this way, it's a ways out. So I have some time to plan, not just for myself, but everything around me can be planned. So once you pick a date, what are we gonna do? Um, I like to check in with where you are right now. And the reason is you want to see what resources you have right now. To see if you're even prepared to start. Again, not a very popular opinion because everybody's like, leap and the net will appear. And I'm like, no, I've done that enough and there was no net. So we're not going to do it that way. Um, what we're going to do is, let me see, is anyone here today? By the way, when you come in, please say hi, 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 and give this video a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. So yeah, back to the thing. So you have a date. And so the next thing is I like to think about take a, like an inventory of where you are right now. And the next thing you're going to do is think about what you will need to get to where you want to go. So I chose my date by figuring out that I will need 36K in savings to um to leave. That will also mean that I will have no US debt. Like my car will be paid off. I do not own a home right now, so I'm renting. So I will just not rent. Um, and my credit card that would be paid off, which I did last this past year. Come the end of December, all of my credit card that will be completely paid off. And so was the savings, the debt. And the third thing for me is I would really like to have an income stream that generates that $3,000. So I don't have to do it from savings. I mean, I could if I had to push come to shove that I could use it, but I would prefer to have that cushion there and have that alternate income stream. The other thing for me, the other big piece, so the financial piece was part of it. The other big piece was my parents. So, as I said, I'm the primary caregiver for my parents. I need to figure out how they are going to do here now. We had just moved to North Carolina from Miami, and that took a lot of adjusting. And we finally got a granny nanny that can work well with them. And so I'm trying to put things in place right now so that if I'm not here, they are well cared for, right? Or that the other alternative is that they are cared for somewhere else. We just need to figure out the care cocktail for them. And I'm just giving myself the time to figure it out and also to try different things for different periods of time so that we can see if it works or not. One thing is that we are, again, from Trinidad. We live in North Carolina now. Care in the US is very different from care in Trinidad in terms of a community looking out for you. We don't really, I mean, my brother lives here. We have one family friend that lives here. I have a cousin that lives here, but we don't, everybody's like far and separate and living their own lives. And we're not really involved with each other, which I kind of personally like. But it also means that we're on our own here. And Trinidad is just too small to be like that. Yeah, people live very, very close to each other, and you know, the culture is just different. It's much more relaxed. Um, some things are more relaxed, some things are faster, but it's mostly for me is that there'll be more eyes on my parents. My dad has Alzheimer's, my mom is legally blind, and so having them have more eyes, more people that are looking out for them. The cost of care is much lower because my dad has Alzheimer's. He wanders sometimes. I've looked into care for him, for like memory care for him, and that is astounding. Like it starts at like $6,000 a month, and then they do a care assessment or whatever. But it's $6,000 a month is like a full time job. Not like it is a full time job before taxes. So no, we don't have that kind of money. It's just giving me some time to figure out the care cocktail for them. And who knows what's going to happen in that 2 years anyway. I don't know. So that would be the step number two that I do. So you get a date, figure out what you need to do between, like, do an assessment of where you are right now, your resources at the moment, and then figure out so that's step number three. Figure out what you need to do to get to where you need to go. Like, what resources do you need when you get there? And then this is where the practicality comes into. Let's break it down. Break it down. So that 36K is for me, I'm gonna give myself the 2 years to get there, which means that next year, 2025, my savings, I want to save at least $1,000 a month. Um, and the same in 2026. I know that does not add up to 36K at all, but there will be some other additional things. That's my goal is $1,000 a month at least. If I do more in a month, that'll be great, but not less, right? And so that's how the extra 12K will come into play. Um, Also, I'm thinking about when I return from this trip, what is my life going to be like? So if I am renting at the time and I sell the house, sorry, and I don't have a place to stay because I'm renting, when I come back, does that mean I'll have to find another place to rent or find another place to stay, right? So my question is like, do I want to buy a place and rent it out, and then when I return, I can just um end that lease with the tenants, then I can come back in? We don't know. We don't know. So I have given myself some time to figure that out as well. So think about what's going to happen on the other side of your goals. This is another very important thing. We hardly ever think about what happens on the other side of goals. We always think about getting to the goal, but we don't think about what happens after the goal. So give yourself some space to think about that. But we're going to break down once you figure out where you are now and what you need to do to get to where you want to be, then we're going to start breaking it down. That's where the practical plan comes in. So I do a little thing with goal setting. I do this for projects that I manage and for everything in my life, right? Goal setting, I find, and planning is not like it's not a one and done thing. It's a constant assessing here, looking forward, looking back a little bit to see where you've been, and then um, reassessing the steps and taking new steps. So, what would be helpful if you would like me to help you with this is I would need to know your goal, like what is your big audacious goal and what is your timeline? And then maybe we can chat a little bit about how you can break that down. So why don't you put in the comments what your big audacious goal is, what's your timeline to get there, and then we could start playing around with it. And maybe it's not just one video, it's a series of videos or just what I talk about in general. So so I talked about the whole set a date, assess where you are right now, figure out the things that you need to do to get where you are. We're going to break down those steps. Now, how do we break down the steps? Oh, the other thing is that you want to look a little bit ahead, in the after of that goal to see what else you might need, right? So now, how do we break down those steps? I do two types of goal setting. One is what I call action oriented goals, and the second is I call it outcome oriented goals. In the book 12, the 12-week year, I'm not sure who the author is. He talks about leading goals and lagging goals. They're kind of the same thing. So leading goals will be like action oriented goals, meaning um, the goal is to take the action. I love 80% of my goals are action oriented goals because they're completely within my control, or like 98% within my control. Either I do it or I don't do it. It's up to me, right? So save $1,000 a month is an action oriented goal. It's me putting that money aside every single month. Um, Outcome oriented goals or lag goals are are things that kind of are the result of the actions that you take. So me saying that I need to save 36K total, like I need to have 36K in savings, that is an outcome oriented goal, especially since if I save $1,000 a month, I'll only get to 24. So you're like, what's the difference? There's some magic that's going to happen in between there. And there's probably some additional savings that I will do. But that is going to be the outcome goal is something that's less of something that's in your control. Let me do an even better one. In the business world, okay, so let's say that I want my income to be $3,000 a month, my non W-2 income to be $3,000 a month after at the in 2027, right? I can do a lot of things on my end towards that, but in the end, and having been in business before, and traded and all those other things. I don't know for sure that that's going to happen, but I can do action oriented goals. So a few things that I can do that will likely send me in that direction. One of the things is I am doing options trading, and I'm starting now to do options trading and trade my way up to that point. The second thing is I can start my coaching practice. The third thing is I may get certified and start the process of talking to my manager about working remotely during this time. So I keep that $3,000. I also wanted non W-2 income, so maybe that's not a good one. Um, I can start right now. My action could be I have a paid newsletter over on Substack. I will link to it in the comments. Sorry, in the description. It's nnekakelly.substack.com, and where I put in my retirement updates. And my retirement updates are behind the paywall. And so the action can be that I continue to write weekly so that my subscription grows, and as well as I continue to do outreach over on Substack so that people but coming in or continue to come in, right? These are things that are on my side of the fence that are my action oriented goals, right? Like publish a weekly email, publish a weekly blog, and to um, connect with three other authors every week. Those are action oriented goals. Will it absolutely get me to $3,000 a month in 2 years? That's not under my control, but I do have full control over taking those actions, right? So the outcome is that I want to have $3,000 dollars in non W-2 income. My actions on my side, my action goals will be to send a letter every month, publish a letter every month, sorry, every week, and connect with three other creators every week, three different creators every week. And then we'd have collabs. And I can build on those actions. So what did we talk about so far? So you have this big audacious goal. First thing you need to do, goal without a deadline. It's just a dream, or go without a plan. It's just a dream. So the first thing we're gonna do is figure out the date. When do you want to do this by? You can throw a dart, or you can backtrack it and figure out some things and come up with a date. Either way, it's fine. So first thing, the date. Second thing, you want to check for where you are right now. What are my resources right now? What do I have at my disposal right now? And when I talk resources, I'm talking financial, emotional reserves, because how much energy do you have to do things is important. Um, what your capacity is important. Your physical resources, your spiritual resources, even. What kind of support do you have? Assess those things. Find out, number three is find out what you need to have in place in order to have your big audacious goal happen. Like what what do you need to have? And then we have a gap, right, between where we are right now and what we need to have. And so we're going to break down that gap into sizable chunks. These will be your actionable steps. Number five, those steps need to be leaning towards the action oriented side versus the outcome oriented side, because you have 100% of control over what you take action on, right? You decide, you can take the action. You either do it or you don't. But outcomes are dependent upon a lot on your action, but other things, some other things can happen and you have no control over it, right? So set your goals so that they're action oriented goals, and 80% action oriented, 20% outcome or more, right? Or more on the action oriented side. That's all I have for today. Again, please like this video. It's a new one coming, and subscribe to my channel. It's very simple. It's Nneka Kelly. I'm not doing anything fancy right now. And I'd also like, if you want to start breaking down your big audacious goal and setting up your plan, if you put it in the comments, we can start chatting about it and see how it goes.